What is going on, my dudes? Tystra here, back again with another Genshin Impact video. And as always, if you guys like the content, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. And as always, comment below on what you thought about this video. Now, today, we are going to be talking about the Yunjin Hangout event. This is going to be spoiler alerts if you haven't done the Yunjin Hangout event, but I highly suggest that you do. This was one of the better ones in my personal opinion. I enjoyed it. There were some slow parts, but at the same time, still a very, very good one. But let's go ahead and get into it. So we're first going to cover what happens before your choices. So you have 5 different pictures to get in this one. So we're going to go over first what happens beforehand. Basically, the director of the, opera troupe is going to Catherine at the Adventurers Guild to commission adventurers to basically go find Yunjin. Because Yunjin's been missing, she left a note basically saying, "I'm fine, just give me my time, I'm doing something." She basically went to practice by herself, is what happened. From there, you basically walk up to her and she's just like, "You need to go and find Yunjin for me, please. This is urgent. She can't be away with only like 3 days. I think it was either 2 or 3 days left in this, until the performance." So you go and you find Yunjin. But when you find her, she's kind of in a trance of sorts, or at least that's how it kind of felt to me in that sense. Sorry for stuttering. But that's how it felt to me, is that she was more so in a trance. And I think that she was trying to understand how, or not even think. It's basically what happens after you defeat the Ruin Knight, is that she tells you that she was trying to understand how Shinhe was, in the moment of when she was in the cave, so that she could have a better understanding of Shinhe herself. From there, goes into pick 1, which is the one you see here. Now, this is obviously, you could actually go 2 different routes to get this one on the top. It's really not too difficult, but I will say it's really just dependent on how you want to do the story. So basically from here, you find Yunjin, side with the troop director. So when the troop director is like, "You shouldn't be doing that," and Yunjin's like, "But I'm doing this to improve myself," you side with the troop director. At the tea house, she talks to 2 fans of hers. We come up to her at that time and kind of rescue her from it, because they're all losing their crap over Yunjin because she's so popular. They notice who we are as well, and they're like, "Oh, well, we have no chance. We gotta, skedaddle." You talk to Yunjin a little bit, and then your plans are set. You're gonna go. You go downstairs, and then there's 2 people from what is called the Steambird, which is basically like, a publishing house for papers and all that stuff. So they're trying to get an interview. One in particular is Shi Yun, who is a girl that seems very, very enthusiastic to meet Yunjin, because she starts throwing out stuff about, opera that she knows and noticed about Yunjin's performance that night. From there, they're basically bonding. But Boyi, who is the dude a part of this, basically is like, "No, we need to go by, this sort of like interview." And he wants to ask about stuff like, "What's your take on Liyue versus the Fatui," and all that other stuff. He's trying to get certain information. Or not, sorry, not Liyue, Shesnaya. Shesnaya and the Fatui. What does she think about him? And Yunjin gets very upset at this, because she was enjoying her time with, Shiyun. Now, basically, Shiyun and Boyi leave, and our job is to kind of track them down. Now, this is where I said it could go one of two ways to get this picture. The first one is what I did originally, was I didn't keep up, or I went too far away. I don't even know. I could still see them, but they said you lost track of them. But when I lost track, I went back to Yunjin, and when I went back to Yunjin, literally the director came up and was like, "Yunjin, you weren't supposed to be doing interviews. We told you about this. You're coming with me." And that is what happens with this first pick. Now, the second way to get this pick is if you do follow, Shiyun and Boyi. When you follow them, they start talking about the contract that Shiyun is on, and Shiyun is backed into a corner because Boyi seems to have ulterior motives. He doesn't like Yunjin. So at that moment, you're like, should I attack, or should I jump in, or should I, stay back and listen? So when you go in and you stop it, you're basically stopping the whole thing, and then it not instantly, but overall you go back to Yunjin and it ends in the same result. So pick number 2, which is this one right here. Now, this one's obviously really, really cute. I like this. And Shiyun, I think, is a wonderful character, especially the way that she's drawn out. It's really, really good. But let's go ahead and get into how to get this one. So you manage to keep track of them, and you hear about Boyi and Shiyun, you know, like we were talking about before. But instead, you stay back and listen in a little bit because you're going to go back to Yunjin here in a bit. You're listening in about the contract and how basically Boyi is like, oh yeah, by the way, if you go against your contract, I'm suing you for everything that you're worth. And which is ridiculous. So it's like, okay, whatever. You know, so we go back to Yunjin and talk about what occurred with Shiyun and Boyi. And Yunjin's like, here, I'm going to write a letter really quick, and I want you to take this to Shiyun. You get the letter, and you basically go right back, and they're still talking in that same situation. And when you kind of go and give that letter to Shiyun, she understands, like, you know, what the mail is all about. And it's saying that, you know, basically, he can't blackmail you. So there's no way that you could get away with it. So we head back and to Shiyun to hear that she has answered some of the questions with Boyi. Boyi's asking a whole bunch of different stuff, but it's basically apparent that Shiyun, or not Shiyun, but Yunjin is understanding what's going on. So we head back with Shiyun, and Boyi gets really, really upset, and he's like, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. Remember our contract. And that's when it all goes down. Shiyun says, you can't do that. It's against Liyue laws. I could get freaking, you know, the millilith on you. And Yunjin says, you might have or Yunjin says it to Boyi, by the way. You might have forgotten a little bit of the laws here, so you might want to brush up on it because this is what I learned recently. And she was also saying you might want to go back to your hideout or wherever your publishing house is because there might be some stuff that's illegal in there that you may not know, like fire code and all that other stuff, which makes Boyi panic and run away. And Yunjin makes it, or this is after Yunjin does all that. Yunjin stops Shiyun from leaving because Shiyun was going to follow after him. And she's like, don't worry about it. We got it all taken care of. And then you see the director come in and say, the Millilith are already following him, so you don't have anything to worry about. Basically from there, Yunjin and Shiyun talk about, you know, how Shiyun's out of the job. And from there, Yunjin's like, well, why don't you interview me in a couple days? Or, you know, between her and her director. Why don't you come back, interview me in a few days, and we can have a full interview on what we want to talk about and what the readers want to read. And so basically gives, you know, Shiyun her next job. On to pick number 3, which is my favorite, and I think this is the most adorable thing ever. Like, look at the smile on Yunjin. It looks like she's so happy because she doesn't get to be like this all the time. And this is one of the shorter ones, but this worked out really, really good. I thought it was very slice of lifey type of thing. So right when you meet Shiyun and Boyi, instead of talking to them, and basically agreeing with Yunjin, like, hey, you could talk to her. You seem interested. You say, no, we should probably wait until we talk to your director. And Yunjin is upset, but at the same time, she's like, yeah, you're right. And basically, Shiyun and Boyi leave. Instead, what you guys do is you follow up on what your plans were originally, and you go to a restaurant, which is where, what's his name? Chen the Sharp makes grilled tigerfish, barbecue, and some drinks, but he's not very good with the drinks. He's still learning how to make them. Sorry. My throat kind of was like, ugh. You're basically going to taste a bunch of stuff with Yunjin, and Yunjin's like, why don't we make hot pots of basically drinks that we made? And what she would do is add ingredients and so on. I didn't venture forth or more into it, but I got the first one wrong, so she was like, okay, we're done. And I'm like, all right, that was really okay. But after a bit of talking, you basically convince Yunjin to take a picture in front of, you know, Chen the Sharp's little thingy, the hut. And it's really basic. You take a basic picture of whatever. From there, she's like, I want to take a picture of you too, and I want to do it in someplace different. Let's go down the street a little bit in Liyue Plaza, and we'll take the picture there. And from there, as you can see, she got the traveler to close her eyes. and strike a pose, wait until her signal. And basically, what she was doing is she was setting up a camera stand, put the camera on a timer, and then jumped on the traveler, which resulted in this adorable little picture. This is actually one of my favorite pictures of all these Hangout events, but I haven't done Ningguang's yet, so there might be some more. But for now, this is one of my favorites. So let's go ahead and go into picture 4. Now, this is in very big contrast to what we just saw. Continuing on from where you play the hot pot game and you lose. You tell Yunjin that her onstage persona is more striking instead of her, regular one, because before you would say that, her offstage personality is really cute. This time you're saying, but your onstage persona is more striking. And that really upsets Yunjin because she's like, "Oh, I see." Um, but she understands that some people like the onstage persona, but she wants to be real. Yunjin asks if there is something that you want to remember her by, and of course, because you like her onstage persona more, you ask for an autographed photo. This really makes Yunjin sad because she's like, she doesn't say this, but in the sense, it's like, "Oh, they're not my friend, they're just a fan." So she takes out an already autographed photo of her, and apparently she has a bunch of these on stock, as you learn from Chen the Sharp and another guy, that they have the same autographed photo. And then it literally boils down to what she says to Traveler afterwards was this what you wanted? And legit, I never went from so happy and giddy about a picture to sad about this one, because this was extremely sad. And you could tell by Yunjin's face, she's like, "I don't even want to talk to you anymore." It's like when you go on a very bad first date. That's what it ends up. On to picture number 5, and as you can see, they're gleefully doing stuff. But what stuff is that? We're gonna go ahead and talk about it here. So this is from the start of the whole Hangout event. So you're going all the way back. You just returned to the director, and instead of siding with the director, you side with Yunjin and say, "You know what? She was perfectly fine. She was able to handle herself." The director pulls you aside after Yunjin says a few things and asks you to talk sense into Yunjin and watch over her. The traveler tells Yunjin that, "I want to be an actor," which is obviously not true. We know it's not true, but it's the traveler trying to, keep Yunjin safe. Yunjin is taken aback, and Yunjin accepts and goes back for the night to come up with a lesson plan. You meet up with her the next day, a little north of not north, a little bit towards Liyue Harbor. You're almost to the sea itself where the boats are. And she asks you about, how many pigeons flew away when you walked over here. And she's like, "It's all about perception in acting." I got the question wrong, but apparently the answer is 7. I got 6. So, whatever then. But she basically goes about a few acting tips and so on, and how to recreate your feelings, goes over the scenario of what happened with the Battle of Liyue. And she's very strict when it comes to everything, because you try and sing out your feelings, and she's just like, "No, no, no, you're wrong. You're wrong." So she states that, oh, what was it? Hold on. I lost my track on my script. My apologies, guys. So instead, she's like, "Okay, let's go to the north of Liyue and let's see if maybe that'll help." So when you go to the north of Liyue, you're overlooking Liyue Harbor. And she goes, "Well, maybe that didn't work because you need to recreate the circumstances, in a sense, of the fight." So she tells you should go fight the monsters below and try to keep in mind the feelings and the actions that you take against the monsters. And after defeating those monsters, you go back to Yunjin, and she's like, "Okay, so now what I want you to do is do those same movements and same actions against the dummy in the red shirt," which is annoying because the red shirt dummy, you can't lock onto it or anything like that. So you have to hit reset, or whatever it is you want to do. Yunjin afterwards says, "Okay, well, maybe that wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, but let's go ahead and let's go someplace else and we'll try a larger scale type of thing." So you go to another secluded area. I think it's right where the ruins were, where there was like 3 ruin guards before in Liyue. And you have a larger scale thing where there's like 4 of the red dummies, 4 of the blue dummies. And she's like, "I want you to, go through and only kill or only destroy the red dummies. And basically, I will accompany you in the sense of like trying to get you to pick up your emotions. And so you start doing that, and Yunjin is singing in the background, which was very lovely. It wasn't as good as the performance that of the damsel of devastation, but it was really really good singing. I applaud the voice actor for doing so well. Well, not the voice actor, but the actual like singing actor that was doing separate stuff. I don't know if it's the same two people, but she did wonderful. Regardless, applause to you. You did fantastic. But afterwards, after you defeat all four red dummies without hurt or without destroying the blue dummies, she basically is like, "Bravo, you did good. It's a lot better." But I already knew that you didn't want to become an actor. I know this was just kind of a farce to, you know, keep me busy. And she's like, "I saw it written all over your face, but today was fun. You know, I can't wait for the day that you accompany me on stage to tell your story." And that is where this picture rolls in. So, if I had to choose between the five pictures, this is my favorite picture for sure. This hangout event was really fun. The only thing obviously I didn't like was this picture because the whole thing was sad. Like I felt really really bad for Yunjin in that, and I guess that's what it was supposed to do. But obviously this picture was really really dope. I think that everybody should do this hangout event. If you haven't done it yet and you're just watching me, you should definitely just go and do that. One, you're getting rewards for it, and two, hangout event's fun. In the sense of like learning about Yunjin. Like you learn a lot about her. So, anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for today. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe down below. Or yeah, like and subscribe down below. Sorry about that, guys. It's a little late over here, so my apologies. But don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, and don't forget to comment about what you think about the Hangout event. Do you agree with me that this event is awesome? I'd say probably my rating for this Hangout event is about an 8 out of 10. It was definitely really, really good. I'd put it at the top. So, as always, guys, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to entertain you. We will be back again with probably the next Hangout event video, which will be about Ningguang. Either that, or we might be reviewing the potion event. So, as always, guys, take care, be safe, love y'all, and we'll see you in the next video.